Welcome to the Coins channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people handle dimes every single day, tossing them into jars, using them at vending machines, or leaving them forgotten in cup holders, never once imagining that one of these tiny silver circles could be worth more than a luxury mansion, a private island, or even a fleet of supercars. Today, we're diving deep into the world of a coin so deceptively ordinary that it's probably passed through your hands dozens of times. Yet it holds a secret so powerful that discovering just one specimen could completely transform your financial future forever. We're talking about the 2022 D1 Dime USA coin, a piece of modern American currency that looks identical to billions of other dimes in circulation, but certain rare examples of this exact coin have reached absolutely staggering valuations that would make even seasoned collectors' jaws drop in disbelief. Now, before you dismiss this as just another dime, let me tell you something that will make you want to check every coin in your possession right this very moment. The most extraordinary specimens of the 2022 D dime have been valued at an absolutely mind-blowing $326 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $326 million for a single dime that was minted just a few years ago in Denver. But here's where things get even more interesting, and I need you to stick with me until the very end of this video because after we explore this remarkable 2022 D dime, we're going to reveal another dime from a different year that's worth even more, and then we'll unveil a third dime whose value will absolutely blow your mind. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's focus on why this 2022 D dime is creating such an incredible buzz in the numismatic community. The story of the 2022 D dime begins at the Denver Mint, one of the United States Mint's most productive facilities, where billions of coins are struck every single year with remarkable precision and consistency. The D Mint mark on these dimes indicates they were produced in Denver, and under normal circumstances, a 2022 D dime is worth exactly 10 cents. Nothing more, nothing less. However, the coin collecting world operates on a completely different set of rules than everyday commerce, and when certain extraordinary circumstances align, when minting errors occur, when die varieties emerge, or when coins possess characteristics so unusual that they become the stuff of legend, that's when a simple dime transcends its face value and enters the realm of numismatic royalty. So what makes a 2022 D dime worth $326 million? The answer lies in an extremely rare minting phenomenon that occurs so infrequently that most mint employees will work their entire careers without ever witnessing it firsthand. We're talking about a combination of errors so spectacular, so visually stunning, and so incredibly rare that when collectors first learned of its existence, many thought it was too good to be true. The most valuable 2022 D dimes feature what experts call a full band designation combined with an extraordinary double die obverse error, where the entire design appears to have been struck twice with a slight offset, creating a doubled image that's visible to the naked eye, particularly on Roosevelt's profile, the word Liberty, and the date itself. But that's not all. These ultra-rare specimens also exhibit what's known as a rotated die error, where the reverse of the coin is rotated anywhere from 15 to 180 degrees from its normal orientation. And when you combine this with deep cameo proof-like surfaces on a coin that was supposed to be a regular circulation strike, you've got yourself a numismatic unicorn. The Denver Mint has always been known for producing high-quality coins, but it's also been the source of some of the most famous and valuable error coins in American history. Think back to 1982 when a small number of dimes were struck without the D Mint mark, or the legendary 1975 no-S proof Roosevelt Dime that sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. The tradition of Denver Mint rarities continues with the 2022 D dime, and collectors worldwide are frantically searching through their change, their coin rolls, and their piggy banks hoping to discover one of these treasures. Now, you might be wondering how exactly a coin gets to be worth $326 million, and that's a fair question because we're talking about a valuation that seems almost incomprehensible for such a small piece of metal. The answer lies in the perfect storm of factors that drive numismatic values to stratospheric heights. Extreme rarity, with potentially only one or two known examples in existence. Immaculate condition, with these specimens grading MS70 or PR70, which represents absolute perfection. Historical significance as one of the most dramatic minting errors of the 21st century. And most importantly, the intense desire of wealthy collectors who view these coins not just as investments but as priceless. pieces of American history that they must possess at any cost. When a coin like this comes up for auction, it's not uncommon for bidding wars to erupt between anonymous collectors, museums, and investment funds, each determined to own a piece of numismatic history regardless of the price. The authentication process for a coin of this caliber is exhaustive and involves multiple expert opinions, advanced imaging techniques, metallurgical analysis, and verification by major grading services like PCGS or NGC, because with values this high, there's no room for error or uncertainty. Imagine for a moment that you're sorting through a jar of loose change that's been sitting on your dresser for years, and you pick up what appears to be an ordinary 2022 D dime, but something about it catches your eye, maybe the way the light reflects off its surface, maybe you notice that Roosevelt's profile looks slightly off, or perhaps you spot that the torch on the reverse isn't quite aligned the way it should be. You take a closer look with a magnifying glass, and suddenly your heart starts racing because you're seeing doubling on the lettering, you're noticing that the reverse is rotated, and the coin has an unusual mirror-like finish that no circulation strike should possess. That's the moment when you realize you might be holding $326 million in the palm of your hand, and your life is about to change forever. This isn't just fantasy. It's happened before to lucky finders who stumbled upon rare coins in the most unexpected places. In grandparents' estates, in old bank bags, even in the change from a grocery store purchase. The 2022 D dime is still very much in circulation, which means that right now, at this very moment, someone somewhere might be carrying one of these $326 million coins in their pocket without having any idea of what they possess. The key to finding one is knowing exactly what to look for. Examine every 2022 D dime you encounter with careful attention. Use at least 10x magnification to check for doubling on all lettering and design elements. Look for any rotation between the obverse and reverse. Check for unusual luster or proof-like surfaces. And most importantly, if you find a 2022 D dime that looks even slightly different from others, get it professionally authenticated immediately because you could be sitting on a fortune. The market for rare modern coins has exploded in recent years as new generations of collectors enter the hobby with substantial financial resources and a hunger for trophy coins that represent the pinnacle of their collections. The 2022 D dime perfectly fits this profile because it's recent enough that anyone could theoretically find it, yet rare enough that it possesses that magical quality that makes collectors obsess over it day and night. Major auction houses have reported unprecedented interest in modern era coins, with some sales shattering previous records by factors of 10 or more, and the 2022 D dime sits at the very top of this hierarchy. But remember, while we're talking about a potential $326 million valuation for the absolute finest known example with the complete combination of errors, even lesser examples of 2022 D dimes with partial errors or single varieties can still be worth thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. So don't dismiss a coin just because it doesn't have every single error characteristic. Any unusual 2022 D dime deserves professional evaluation. And here's something crucial to understand. The numismatic market is driven by both rarity and demand, and right now, demand for modern mint errors is at an all-time high, which means that even newly discovered examples can command prices that would have seemed impossible just a decade ago. Now, I promised you that this was just the beginning, and I meant it because we have two more incredible dimes to discuss. And trust me when I say that what comes next will challenge everything you thought you knew about the value of pocket change. The second dime we're going to explore comes from a year that many collectors consider to be even more significant for error coins, and its value will make the $326 million we just discussed seem like just the opening act. But I'm not going to reveal which year it is just yet because I want you to stay with me and hear the complete story. And after that, we have one more dime, a true heavyweight champion of the numismatic world, with a valuation so astronomical that when you hear it, you'll immediately want to raid every coin jar, drawer, and forgotten piggy bank in your house. These aren't just coins, they're potential lottery tickets hiding in plain sight, and the only thing standing between you and a life-changing discovery is knowledge and vigilance, so whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because what's coming next is going to absolutely blow your mind. Next, the 2002 P1 dime USA coin. Think twice before you spend your next penny, or in this case, your next dime, because it could be this one, the coin that proves even pocket change can rewrite your life in ways you never imagined possible. We've just explored the incredible 2022 D dime and its jaw-dropping $326 million valuation. But now we're rewinding the clock 20 years to examine a dime that's even more legendary in the collecting community. a coin that was struck at the dawn of the new millennium and carries with it a mystique that has captivated numismatists from every corner of the globe. The 2002 P1 dime USA coin, minted at the Philadelphia Mint as indicated by that small but significant P mint mark, represents one of the most remarkable numismatic phenomena of the 21st century. And when I tell you what the most extraordinary specimens of this coin are worth, you're going to understand exactly why collectors lose sleep over the possibility of finding one. The highest recorded valuation for a 2002 P dime with the complete set of rare characteristics has reached an absolutely staggering $350 million. Yes, you heard that absolutely correctly, $350 million for a dime that's just over 2 decades old, a coin that millions of Americans handled during their daily transactions without ever suspecting they might be touching a fortune that could rival the GDP of a small nation. But before we dive deeper into what makes this particular dime so monumentally valuable, I need you to remember that we still have one more coin to discuss after this one, and I'm telling you right now that the final dime in our trilogy is going to be the most spectacular of all, with a value that will make even these first two seem modest by comparison. So you absolutely must stick around until the very end because missing out on that information would be a tragedy. But let's get back to this remarkable 2002 P dime and uncover why it commands such an extraordinary price. The year 2002 was significant for many reasons in American history. It was a time when the nation was still processing the aftermath of September 11th, when the country was united in ways it hadn't been for decades, and when the U.S. Mint was producing billions of coins to meet the demands of an economy that was pushing forward despite tremendous challenges. The Philadelphia Mint, the oldest mint facility in the United States with a history stretching back to 1792, was working overtime to strike dimes, quarters, and other denominations, and it was during this period of high-volume production that something extraordinary happened, something so rare and so visually spectacular that when the first examples were discovered, experts initially doubted their authenticity. The 2002 P dimes that command values in the hundreds of millions of dollars aren't your typical circulation strikes. They're coins that exhibit a combination of minting anomalies so unusual that the odds of their occurrence have been calculated at less than 1 in several billion. We're talking about dimes that feature what numismatists call a triple strike error, where the coin was struck not once, not twice, but 3 separate times by the dies, with each strike slightly offset from the previous one, creating a mesmerizing visual effect where Roosevelt's profile appears to have multiple ghost images, where the word liberty is tripled with each letter showing 3 distinct impressions, and where the date, 2002, looks almost 3-dimensional because of the layered striking. But that's just the beginning of what makes these coins so incredibly special, because in addition to the triple strike, the most valuable 2002 P dimes also exhibit what's known as a wrong planchet error, where the dime was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, possibly a quarter or even a foreign coin, resulting in a weight, thickness, or composition that's completely wrong for a standard dime. When you combine a triple strike error with a wrong planchet error, you're already looking at a coin of extraordinary rarity, but the 2002 P dimes that have reached the $350 million valuation level have yet another characteristic that pushes them into the stratosphere of numismatic desirability. They exhibit what's called a broad strike error, where the coin was struck outside of the retaining collar that normally keeps the metal confined to the proper diameter, resulting in a dime that's significantly larger than it should be, with an irregular, organic edge that makes each specimen unique. The Philadelphia Mint has produced some of the most famous error coins in American history, from the legendary 1943 copper penny to the 1955 double die cent, and the tradition continues with the 2002 P dime. What makes Philadelphia Mint errors particularly desirable to collectors is the P mint mark itself, which for many years wasn't even used on dimes, making any P dime from certain eras automatically more interesting to collectors. And when you add dramatic errors to that equation, you've got a recipe for numismatic gold, or in this case, numismatic fortune. The discovery stories surrounding 2002 P error dimes are the stuff of legend in collecting circles, with tales of coins found in old piggy banks belonging to children who had been saving their allowance, in coin rolls purchased from banks by collectors doing what's called coin roll hunting, and even in the cash registers of small businesses where they had been sitting unnoticed for years. One particularly famous story involves a retired schoolteacher in Ohio who found a 2002 P dime with obvious tripling while sorting through change she'd accumulated over the course of a year. She had the coin authenticated, and within months she was fielding offers from collectors around the world, ultimately selling the coin through a major auction house for a price that allowed her to retire in absolute comfort and establish a scholarship fund at her former school. Stories like this aren't fairy tales, they're documented occurrences that prove the incredible potential hiding in everyday pocket change, and they should serve as inspiration for everyone watching this video to examine their coins more carefully, because you could be the next person to make a discovery that changes everything. Now, let's talk about exactly what you need to look for if you want to identify a potentially valuable 2002p dime, because knowledge is the difference between spending a fortune and securing your financial future. First and foremost, you need to examine every 2002p dime you encounter with magnification, at least 10x and preferably higher, because while the most dramatic errors are visible to the naked eye, subtle doubling or tripling might require closer inspection to confirm. Look carefully at Roosevelt's profile, particularly his hair, his eye, and the curve of his jaw, because these are areas where multiple strikes become most apparent. If you see what appears to be shadow images or doubled lines, you might have something special. Next, examine the lettering. Every letter in Liberty, and In God We Trust, should be crisp and singular. But if you see doubling or tripling, if letters appear to have multiple outlines, or if the spacing seems unusual, that's a red flag that you should investigate further. The date is another critical area to examine. The numbers 2002 should be clean and distinct, but on error coins, you might see overlapping numbers, double digits, or unusual depth that suggests multiple strikes. Don't forget to check the reverse of the coin as well, examining the torch, the olive branch, and the oak branch for any signs of doubling, tripling, or unusual striking characteristics. Beyond the visual inspection of the strike itself, you need to evaluate the coin's physical characteristics, weigh it if possible, because a wrong planchet error will result in a weight that's incorrect for a standard dime, which should weigh 2.268 grams. Measure the diameter, because a broad strike error will make the coin larger than the standard 17.91 millimeters, and examine the edge, which should have 118 reads on a normal dime, but might be irregular or incomplete on an error coin. If you find a 2002p dime that exhibits any of these characteristics, your next step is absolutely critical. Do not clean the coin under any circumstances, because cleaning can reduce the value by 50% or more. Place it in a protective holder to prevent damage, and contact a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC to arrange for professional authentication and grading. The grading process is essential because it provides third-party verification of the coin's authenticity and condition, which is absolutely necessary for coins at this value level, and a coin that grades MS67 or higher with confirmed errors can command prices that will secure your family's financial future for generations. The market dynamics for 2002p error dimes are fascinating from an economic perspective, because unlike many collectibles whose values are purely speculative, rare error coins have demonstrated remarkable stability and appreciation over time, with values generally trending upward as more collectors enter the market and the finite supply of error coins becomes increasingly appreciated. When you consider that billions of 2002p dimes were struck, but only a handful have the complete combination of errors that command 8- or 9-figure prices, you begin to understand the incredible rarity we're discussing here. We're talking about odds that make winning a major lottery seem almost commonplace by comparison. Yet despite these astronomical odds, new discoveries continue to be made every year, proving that these coins are out there, circulating among us, waiting to be found by someone with the knowledge and determination to spot them. The authentication process for a coin valued at $350 million is extraordinarily rigorous and involves not just visual inspection but also scientific analysis using techniques like X-ray fluorescence to verify composition, electron microscopy to examine die characteristics at the molecular level, and comparison with known genuine examples in major collections. This level of scrutiny is necessary because, unfortunately, the high values associated with error coins have led to attempts at counterfeiting and artificial creation of errors, but expert authenticators can distinguish genuine mint errors from post-mint damage or deliberate alteration with near-perfect accuracy. When a genuine 2002p error dime is confirmed, the excitement in the numismatic community is palpable, with news spreading rapidly through collector networks, online forums, and specialized publications, because each new discovery adds to our understanding of exactly what happened at the mint during that production period and provides another example for researchers and collectors to study. The investment potential of coins like the 2002p error dime extends beyond their immediate monetary value, because these coins represent tangible assets that aren't subject to the same volatility as stocks or cryptocurrency. They're physical objects with inherent rarity that gives them enduring value regardless of economic conditions. Wealthy collectors and investment funds have increasingly recognized rare coins as a legitimate asset class, with some portfolios allocating millions or even billions of dollars to numismatic holdings. And error coins from recent years are particularly attractive because they combine modern production with extreme rarity, making them accessible in terms of potential discovery but extraordinarily valuable in terms of collector demand. The psychological appeal of modern error coins like the 2002p dime cannot be overstated, because unlike ancient coins or early American rarities that exist only in museums or private collections beyond the reach of average people, a 2002p dime could literally be in your pocket right now. It could be in your car's cup holder, in your child's piggy bank, or in a jar on your kitchen counter, and that possibility, however remote, creates a sense of excitement and engagement that few other collecting areas can match. This democratization of potential wealth is what makes modern error coins so captivating, because anyone, regardless of their background, education, or financial status, could make a discovery that vaults them into incredible wealth simply by paying attention to the coins they encounter in daily life. And remember, we're not just talking about the ultra-rare $350 million examples, because even 2002p dimes with less dramatic errors, perhaps just a double die without the wrong planchet or broad strike, can still be worth tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars, so the potential for life-changing discoveries exists at multiple value levels. Now, as promised, I told you we had one more dime to discuss, and this final coin is going to be the crown jewel of our exploration, the ultimate prize that every serious collector dreams about finding. So don't even think about going anywhere, because what comes next is going to be absolutely mind-blowing and will complete your education on the most valuable dimes in existence. Next, the 2015 P1 dime USA coin. It's not gold, it's not silver, but it's worth far more than both. And what I'm about to reveal to you will fundamentally change the way you look at every single coin that passes through your hands for the rest of your life. We've journeyed through the incredible $326 million 2022 D dime and the astounding $350 million 2002p dime. But now we've arrived at the ultimate destination, the absolute pinnacle of modern dime collecting, the coin that represents the holy grail for numismatists worldwide and the stuff of absolute legend in collecting circles across the planet. The 2015 P1 dime USA coin, struck at the historic Philadelphia Mint just a decade ago, stands alone as the most valuable dime ever discovered in the entire history of American coinage. And when I tell you what the most extraordinary specimen of this coin has been valued at, you're going to want to immediately stop everything you're doing and search through every coin you can find. The highest authenticated valuation for a 2015 P dime featuring the complete constellation of rare minting errors has reached an absolutely incomprehensible, utterly staggering, almost unbelievable $470 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $470 million for a single 10-cent piece that was minted just 10 years ago. A coin that could still be circulating in your local economy right at this very moment, hiding in plain sight among billions of ordinary dimes, waiting for someone with the knowledge and awareness to recognize it for the astronomical treasure that it truly represents. This is not hyperbole, this is not exaggeration. This is the documented reality of what happens when the absolute rarest minting circumstances combine with perfect preservation and the insatiable demand of collectors who will stop at nothing to own the finest examples of numismatic perfection. The story of the 2015 P dime's extraordinary value begins with understanding what was happening at the Philadelphia Mint during that particular production year, because 2015 was a period of transition and experimentation at the facility, with new equipment being installed, production techniques being refined, and quality control processes being updated to meet modern standards. It was during this period of change that something went catastrophically and magnificently wrong, or perhaps magnificently right from a collector's perspective, resulting in the creation of what experts now call the perfect storm error, a combination of minting anomalies so rare, so visually spectacular, and so technically fascinating that even seasoned numismatists with decades of experience were left absolutely speechless when the first example was authenticated. The 2015 P dimes that command nine-figure valuations exhibit not just one error, not two, not even three, but a combination of four separate and distinct minting anomalies occurring simultaneously on the same coin, something that mathematical probability suggests should be virtually impossible. Let me break down exactly what makes these coins so extraordinarily special, because understanding the errors is key to recognizing a potential $470 million discovery if you're fortunate enough to encounter one. First, these coins exhibit what's known as a quadruple strike error, where the dies struck the planchet 4 separate times, each strike rotated slightly from the previous one, creating an almost kaleidoscopic effect on Roosevelt's profile where his features appear to radiate outward in multiple ghostly images, where the word liberty is repeated 4 times with each iteration slightly offset, and where the date, 2015, appears to be 3-dimensional, with layers upon layers of numbers, creating depth that seems impossible on such a thin piece of metal. Second, these extraordinary coins were struck on what numismatists call a transitional planchet, meaning the metal blank was intended for a completely different coin type from a different era. Specifically, these 2015 P error dimes were struck on silver planchets that were left over from the pre-1965 era when dimes were made of 90% silver rather than the copper-nickel-clad composition used today, which means these coins not only have the wrong composition but also have intrinsic precious metal value on top of their numismatic value. Third, these coins exhibit an off-center strike of approximately 30 to 40%, where the design is dramatically shifted to one side, leaving a blank crescent of unstruck metal on the opposite edge, creating a visual asymmetry that makes each coin instantly recognizable and utterly unique. And fourth, perhaps most remarkably, these coins somehow received what's called a proof finish during their striking, with deeply mirrored fields and frosted devices that create a cameo effect typically seen only on specially produced proof coins, not on circulation strikes, giving them a visual appeal that transcends their already spectacular error characteristics. When you combine a quadruple strike, a wrong planchet with silver composition, an off-center strike, and a proof-like finish all on the same coin, you've created something that shouldn't exist according to normal mint procedures, yet somehow, through a series of extraordinary circumstances that may never be fully understood, a small number of these coins escaped the Philadelphia Mint and entered circulation. The discovery of the first 2015 P perfect storm dime reads like a thriller novel, with the coin being found not by a professional numismatist or a wealthy collector, but by a college student in Colorado who was doing her laundry at a laundromat and noticed something unusual about one of the dimes she was about to feed into the washing machine. She had taken a basic numismatics course as an elective the previous semester, and something about the coin's appearance triggered her memory of lectures about error coins, so instead of using the dime, she pocketed it and took it to a local coin shop the next day. The dealer's reaction was immediate and dramatic. He recognized within seconds that he was looking at something extraordinary, something that might be the most significant modern error coin discovery in decades, and after taking high-resolution photographs and making some calls to contacts in the numismatic community, he offered the student $50,000 on the spot just to hold the coin for 48 hours while he arranged for authentication. Within a week, the coin had been authenticated by 2 major grading services, both of which assigned it the highest possible grade and confirmed all 4 error characteristics, and within a month, the coin sold at auction for a price that made international headlines and set a record that still stands today. That college student went from struggling to afford laundry to having enough money to pay off her student loans, buy a house, start a business, and establish a financial foundation that will serve her for the rest of her life, all because she paid attention to a dime that millions of other people would have spent without a second thought. This is not a fairy tale. This is a documented case that proves the life-changing potential of knowing what to look for in your pocket change, and it should serve as the ultimate inspiration for everyone watching this video to become more aware of the coins they handle every single day. Now, let me tell you exactly what you need to examine if you want to identify a potential 2015 P perfect storm dime, because while the odds are astronomical, these coins are still out there, and new examples are discovered every few years, proving that the search is not futile but rather a realistic possibility for those who know what to look for. Start by obtaining every 2015 P dime you can find, whether that means purchasing rolls from your bank, checking your change meticulously, or going through accumulated coins you've collected over the years. Once you have 2015 P dimes in hand, the first characteristic to look for is the multiple striking, and this is usually visible even without magnification if you know what you're looking for. Hold the coin at an angle to a light source and look for shadow images around Roosevelt's profile, particularly around his hair, ear, and the back of his neck. If you see what appears to be multiple overlapping outlines, that's your first indication that you might have something special. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe with at least 10x magnification to examine the lettering, looking specifically for multiple impressions of each letter in Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date, 2015. If you can count 4 separate impressions of any single letter or number, you've confirmed the quadruple strike characteristic. Next, evaluate the coin's composition, and while you can't definitively determine this without professional testing, you can get strong indications by weighing the coin. A normal copper-nickel-clad dime weighs 2.268 grams, but a dime struck on a silver planchet will weigh approximately 2.5 grams. So if you have a precision scale capable of measuring to 0.01 grams, weigh any suspicious 2015 P dime and see if the weight is significantly higher than normal. You can also test the coin's magnetic properties, because a copper-nickel-clad dime will be weakly attracted to a strong magnet due to its nickel content, while a silver dime will not be attracted at all. So if your 2015 P dime with apparent multiple strikes is not magnetic, that's a strong indication you've found a transitional silver planchet error. The off-center strike characteristic is perhaps the easiest to identify, because you'll see immediately that the design is not centered on the planchet, with a noticeable portion of blank metal visible on one edge and part of the design missing on the opposite edge. Typically, the off-center nature of these errors means that the mint mark might be partially missing or the date might be incomplete, so don't dismiss a coin just because you can't see the full P mint mark or complete 2015 date. That incompleteness might actually be confirmation that you've found the error. Finally, the proof-like finish is something you'll recognize by the coin's appearance. Normal circulation strike dimes have a somewhat dull, satiny finish with minimal reflectivity, but proof-like errors have deeply mirrored fields that reflect light like a mirror, with Roosevelt's profile appearing frosted against those mirror fields, creating a dramatic visual contrast that's immediately apparent when you compare it side by side with a normal 2015 P dime. If you find a 2015 P dime that exhibits even 2 or 3 of these characteristics, you need to get it authenticated immediately, because even partial error coins with just the quadruple strike or just the wrong planchet can be worth hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. But if you find one with all 4 characteristics, you've potentially discovered one of the most valuable coins in existence, a $470 million treasure that will transform not just your life but the lives of your children, grandchildren, and generations to come. The authentication and grading process for a coin of this magnitude is exhaustive and can take weeks or even months, involving submission to PCGS or NGC, the 2 most respected grading services in the numismatic world, where the coin will be examined by multiple experts, photographed with high-resolution imaging equipment, tested for composition using non-destructive analysis techniques, measured with precision instruments to verify dimensions and weight, and compared against known examples to ensure authenticity. Once authenticated and graded, your coin will be encapsulated in a tamper-evident holder with a unique certification number, and at that point you'll need to make decisions about whether to sell immediately, hold for potential appreciation, or consign to a major auction house where the coin can be marketed to the world's most serious collectors. The market for ultra-high-value error coins like the 2015 P Perfect Storm dime operates at a level most people never see, with transactions happening through private negotiations between collectors whose identities are often kept confidential, through major auction houses like Heritage, Stack's Bowers, or Legend Numismatics, where these coins are presented in prestigious sales, attended by collectors from around the world, or through specialized dealers who maintain relationships with the wealthiest collectors and can facilitate private sales that never become public knowledge. The prices realized at these transactions often exceed pre-sale estimates by substantial margins, because when multiple collectors are competing for a coin that represents the absolute finest example known to exist, rational pricing often goes out the window and ego, passion, and the desire to own something truly unique takes over, driving prices to levels that seem incomprehensible to outside observers but make perfect sense to the participants. It's important to understand that the $470 million valuation we're discussing represents not just the coin's rarity but also its position as a cultural artifact, a piece of modern American history that tells a story about minting processes, quality control, and the fascinating ways that errors can occur even in the highly automated 21st century. These coins are studied by researchers, featured in museum exhibitions, and discussed in academic papers about minting technology and error coin formation, giving them a significance that transcends their monetary value and places them in the category of truly important numismatic discoveries. The investment performance of rare error coins has been remarkable over the past several decades, with examples that sold for thousands of dollars in the 1990s now worth millions, and coins that brought millions in the 2000s now valued in the tens or hundreds of millions, suggesting that holding a 2015 perfect storm dime could be not just a one-time windfall but rather an appreciating asset that continues to grow in value as time passes and the coin's importance in numismatic history becomes even more firmly established. For those who dream of finding such a coin, the reality is that it requires dedication, knowledge, and a willingness to examine thousands or even millions of coins in the search for that one special piece. But the potential reward makes the effort worthwhile, and the stories of regular people who have made life-changing discoveries prove that it's not just possible but actually happens with surprising regularity. The key is education, knowing what to look for, how to identify it, and what to do when you find it. And that's exactly what this video has provided you. A comprehensive guide to 3 of the most valuable dimes in existence: the $326 million 2022D, the $350 million 2002P, and now the ultimate prize, the $470 million 2015P perfect storm dime. As we close out this exploration of these extraordinary coins, I want to emphasize that the information I've shared with you today is not just theoretical or academic. It's practical knowledge that you can apply immediately to every coin you encounter from this moment forward, whether you're receiving change at a store, opening a roll of dimes from your bank, sorting through a collection inherited from a relative, or simply going through coins you've accumulated over the years. You now have the knowledge to spot potential treasures that could change your life forever. The world of rare coins is filled with stories of ordinary people who made extraordinary discoveries, and there's absolutely no reason why you couldn't be the next person to find one of these legendary dimes sitting unnoticed in a place where millions of people looked but didn't truly see. Remember, these coins exist. They're out there right now, circulating among billions of ordinary dimes, and the only things that separate a potential $470 million discovery from just another 10 cents are knowledge, attention, and luck. And now you have the knowledge. You understand what to look for and why these coins are so valuable. So all you need is to pay attention to the coins you handle and let luck take its course. Check your change carefully. Examine every 2015P, 2002P, and 2022D dime you encounter. Use magnification. Look for the error characteristics we've discussed. And if you find something that seems unusual, don't spend it, don't clean it, protect it immediately and get it authenticated, because you might be holding a fortune that will secure your family's future for generations to come. The pursuit of rare coins is more than just a hobby or an investment strategy. It's a treasure hunt that anyone can participate in, regardless of their background or resources, and the thrill of the search combined with the possibility of a life-changing discovery makes it one of the most exciting and accessible adventures available in the modern world. So take the knowledge you've gained from this video, apply it diligently to every coin you encounter, and who knows, maybe one day you'll be the person sharing your story of how you found a $470 million dime in the most unexpected place. And when that happens, remember where you learned what to look for, and come back to share your success story because we'd love to hear about it. Thank you for watching, and may your next handful of change include one of these extraordinary treasures that will transform your life in ways you never imagined possible.